appreciate it. All right, guys.
Dontae'S.
What's going on? All right. I was gonna ask you who was gonna win, but I don't have to ask now. What's up, y'all? All right, y'all. All right.
Dontae'S Boxing Nation.
My man. Canelo.
But the only way I move up, if Canelo want to fight 54, then I go to 54.
So you hear it. Y'all hearing it from my man Errol Spence. He would like the Canelo Alvarez fight if he was interested in taking it. And you beat me to the punch, man. You must have, I was about to ask you something similar to that. Dontae'S Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Talk about a special fighter that is already daring to be great. As you guys just seen in that clip, Errol Spence, he said he would like to fight against Canelo Alvarez. Now, I just want you guys to think about this for a second. You mean to tell me that Errol Spence is willing to fight against one of the hardest punchers and one of the best fighters at a higher weight class, but Canelo Alvarez isn't willing to fight against Gennady Golovkin? What does that say about Errol Spence? I mean, just think about this for a second. If Errol Spence was at 154 pounds, and let's just say he was the one that beat Canelo and won a middleweight belt, do you think Errol Spence would be saying, oh, you know what, I'm not going to fight that Golovkin, he has to come down to 155, etc., etc.? Do you think Errol Spence would be saying that? I'm going to tell you right now, not only would he not be saying that, but it would be Errol Spence that would be pursuing the Golovkin fight more than Golovkin would be pursuing Errol Spence. I can guarantee that. Because if Gennady Golovkin doesn't want to fight Erislandy Lara, who fights at 154, do you really think he would have any interest in fighting another fighter with a great amateur pedigree, who gets knockouts, aggressive, has an American style, elusive, has defense while aggressive at the same time? No. Now, I'm not saying that Golovkin wouldn't fight him. I'm just saying that I believe Errol Spence, he would be chasing that fight more than Golovkin would be chasing that fight. So all this stuff I'm saying, it says a lot about how special Errol Spence is. Errol Spence, once again, he said he would love to fight against a bigger, stronger, more experienced Canelo Alvarez. Now, when it comes to Canelo Alvarez, this is what I say. You win a belt at the middleweight division. Your mandatory challenger is Gennady Golovkin. You don't want to fight him. So then you go back down to 155. And instead of fighting any of the top guys at 154, like Demetrius Andrade, who's the best fighter at 154, right? Or even the Charlo brothers, instead of fighting the best fighters at 154, you go down to 147 and you start fishing for opponents. And of all the welterweights in the division, you choose Amir King Khan. Now, Canelo Alvarez, he could have chose the best welterweight in the division since he was already fighting against a guy much smaller than him. But he decides to fight a welterweight with quote-unquote chin issues. A welterweight who's not even considered to be pound for pound top 10, one of the best fighters in the world. This is who Canelo decides to fight. So the question is, if Canelo is willing to fight welterweights as the middleweight champion of the world, why don't you fight the best welterweights in the division? What about that? Now, right now, Team Canelo, they can make the argument that it's a little premature to fight against someone like Errol Spence. But I tell you this, if Errol Spence were to beat Kell Brook, or even if Kell Brook were to beat Errol Spence, why wouldn't you fight the winner of that fight? Once again, if you're going to fight against welterweights, why not fight the best welterweights? Right? If a heavyweight is going to move down to light heavyweight, why not fight the best light heavyweight? That's only common sense. That's only common sense. So we are looking at something very special when it comes to Errol Spence. When you have a quote-unquote monster like Gennady Golovkin, who didn't want to fight the bigger Andre Ward, but he was willing to fight the much, much bigger Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. When you have someone like Canelo Alvarez, who is the middleweight champion, but refuses to fight Gennady Golovkin at the middleweight division. When you have these fighters doing stuff like that, and then you have someone like Errol Spence, who is willing to move up in weight and fight the Canelo Alvarez's, that is special. That is special. No doubt about it, Errol Spence, he still needs to get past Kell Brook. We'll see if Kell Brook actually takes that fight, or does he just hand the belt over to Errol Spence and wave the flag, or the white flag. We'll see. We will see. But I really would love to see Errol Spence versus Canelo Alvarez, assuming Errol Spence gets past Kell Brook. Or once again, even Kell Brook against Canelo Alvarez. We know that Kell Brook, he's already called out Gennady Golovkin, which shows that he's one of the rare fighters that's willing to sacrifice his undefeated record as well to move up and fight against a much bigger opponent, much bigger, stronger, undefeated opponent. Okay? So there's no doubt about it. There's a couple fighters out there that are willing to do this, but it's just not that many. Okay? So we'll see what happens. We'll see. If Kell Brook was willing to fight against Gennady Golovkin, it's kind of hard to believe that he would be not willing to fight Errol Spence. But styles do make fights. And the reason why you have a lot of these boxers that are willing to move up in weight and fight against a much stronger, undefeated Gennady Golovkin is because of the simple fact that Golovkin seems to have a style that's almost tailor-made for a very intelligent boxer. That's why they're calling him out. Kell Brook, I think Kell Brook believes and knows deep down that a smaller Errol Spence would be a more difficult fight than a bigger, stronger Gennady Golovkin. That's the way Kell Brook is looking at it. I'm sure of it. So that's pretty much all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
This is Bobby, and you're watching Dontae'S Boxing Nation.